This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Keller's Garden Center and Landscaping Services. Are you still cutting your own grass? Are you still trying to get your landscaping to look perfect on your own? That sounds sweaty. That sounds like a lot of work. That sounds like a job for Keller's Garden Center and Landscaping Services. Family owned and operated. Keller's Garden Center and Landscaping Services, located on Kern Street in Exeter near Blue Ribbon Dairy, has the quality and experience to get your yard looking its best. The Garden Center offers plants, trees, sod, mulch, rocks, flowers, topsoil, grass seed, straw bales, and much more, while the Lawn and Landscaping Services offers mowing, trimming, planting, and full landscaping. And also new at Keller's Garden Center is the Zen Chaser Bonsai Studio, offering bonsai trees, supplies, and classes. Visit them on their social media page for more info. Keller's Garden Center and Landscaping Services. Get your free estimate today. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, I've got the band, members of the band, Suck Brick Kid.
It's a very I don't know if I want to say it or not, you know?
Well, I figured if you wanted to, you could. But now the name, when I saw it, I immediately thought of Home Alone.
Yeah. It is a Home Alone 2, very specific.
Home Alone 2, right.
Yeah, Home Alone 2. But yeah, we definitely stole that for sure from there.
Okay. Is it from that?
Yep, it is from that. It is from
All right. That. Punk band out of Florida.
Yes.
So thanks for taking the time on a Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Like I said earlier, I'm sure there's better things that you could be doing than talking to a Joe Blow from Scranton, Pennsylvania, but I appreciate your time. And you got a lot to talk about. Lots coming up. We got a new record coming out on May 17th.
Yep, that is correct.
In true punk fashion, the title of that is "The End Is What I Want."
The end is what we all want.
This day and age, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's, it just depends perspectively what type of end we all want. But
yeah,
it's actually, the record title is derived from a little shithole hole in the wall bar around the corner from here. And Ian was taking a piss one night in the restroom, and scrawled with a knife over the urinal was "The End Is What I Want." So he took a photo of that, and then we said, well, what if we just took photos or found bathroom graffiti, and then we wrote each individual song about however that person felt. So vicariously writing, if you scribbled something on a wall, what was that person feeling? So in reference, "The End Is What I Want." How was that person feeling? What was, why did he feel like he needed to write that on the wall? Or knife it on the wall, know? And so we took that as concept and then said, let's just write about how this person, whatever it is that they wrote on the wall, was feeling at the moment. So we took a lot of liberties there, and it gave us a lot of, creative freedom to write, the story behind the scribble, so to speak.
Yeah, I like that. I wonder where that person is today.
Funny enough, oddly enough, we yes, exactly. This is, you don't want to meet your heroes type thing. But we were sitting in that same bar and talking to the bartender about
months later too.
Yeah, it was way far later. I mean, and we're sitting there and talking to the bartender, and this comes up that we saw this bathroom graffiti that says "The End Is What I Want." She's like, "Oh yeah, that was this dude Hal, I think his name was, right?"
Yeah.
And she points at this bar seats like 12 people. It's a very small hole in the wall, no refrigeration. Basically, they just have these ice troughs and they put the bottles of beer in it, type thing. And so I'm talking to the woman. She's like, "Yeah, let me introduce you." So we meet this dude who inscribed it on the wall way long after we wrote the song and recorded it. But, it was eye-opening. I don't want to give too much out on what his definition of the end is what I want, but okay. I don't think he had the best life, in general. So it was just awkward and crazy, and it definitely like put a nice bow on the project for us to be able to, talk with this dude a little bit and kind of, I mean, he inspired the whole concept, not to say that he's an inspirable person, but it's, you kind of get what you get there.
That's wild that you guys found him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we didn't have to go far. I mean, sit in the same bar, but
That's so crazy. I guess maybe he's not happy, but I guess I'm happy he's still alive because
yeah, for
I
sure.
can
And
imagine.
evidently that was inscribed years past, so or way further from then. So, maybe he's in a better spot, in his head and in life, and I hope he is. I think
Yeah.
he is. Based off he's still here. So I mean, he couldn't want the end that bad.
Yeah.
You know.
I have a friend that jokes about wanting the end. Like, you talk about end of the world stuff or whatever it might be. And he's always just like, yeah, I wish. Like or why not me?
Do you really? Though?
I hope he's kidding. I hope he's kidding.
Yeah, I hope he's kidding too.
He's been doing it for 20 years now. So, I mean, at this point.
The same person who's online being like, oh my God, I'll drink bleach or something. Like, it's like, you would not drink bleach, dude. That shit would be so bad.
Will you though? Obviously you don't want to challenge anybody to a, anybody in that position to, move forward with a plan. But, I think it's easy, for people to take phrasing like that and make it, it's like, oh no, I broke a nail, I'll just kill myself type thing. And it doesn't really, equate, I think there'll be worse days and worse things, but we're a very emotional society in general. We need to,
especially now, especially in 2024, I think, and then obviously with the internet and the social media aspect of life, and where you can literally tell everyone how you're feeling to try and get a reaction out of people or get the. And I hate the worst is when people like say like, oh, I'm having a bad day or prayers needed or whatever it might be, and it's like, what's wrong? Yeah. What's happening? I hope you're okay, and they just post it and then they like remove themselves from it.
Yeah, actually, the first song on this new record, we saw bathroom graffiti, and it said, "I wrote on the wall, ... take that society!" ! And so when we started thinking about that and writing about it, it was like we're such a like, and I referenced this early on something else. It was basically we speak it into the abyss. We write it on Twitter or X now, I guess, or we feel the need to let everybody know that something we're saying is important when in reality, it's probably not. Right. 9 times out of 10. But we feel this need to regurgitate this information to society, and 9 times out of 10, it's some bullshit that doesn't matter. And in reality, that's pretty much what everybody's saying. I know internally we take it as like, oh man, this matters, or, oh, I better give my opinion on this subject, but I have no expertise in it.
Right.
But that's just kind of internet culture in this day and age, and everyone's got a soapbox, so to speak, to be able to stand on and, give us a decree of importance that is irrelevant. And that's my perspective of internet and, somewhat of our band's perspective of a lot of just, garbage and gibberish. And so the first track on the record is a pretty nasty little song about, what you're saying doesn't matter and we don't give a shit type thing. But
I like that.
I just think that it's so easy now for everyone to get caught up in their own shit, so to speak. That everything we say is not important. Everything I say is definitely not important at all. So the rest of this world, I feel even less on. So it's, let me start there. If the bar is here, everything you're saying is way out, not you, but
No, I understand.
The proverbial you, is a little bit less important.
Yeah,
I hate the world that way a little bit.
Yeah,
a little bit. Maybe we'd be kinder to each other, and maybe we'd be a little bit better because we're not so self-focused on, whatever we think is important to get out there for no one to hear.
Yeah. I hate it. I love it because I can do stuff like this, right? This wouldn't exist without the internet. But like, I try not to do too much on the internet. Like, obviously I share the podcast, I share, artists that I talk to and all that kind of stuff, which I love. But like, as far as what I had for breakfast or lunch or dinner or like, there's countless things. You just open up Facebook or Instagram and it's, it's like you said, people just think they're important. And like, I always think I'm the least important person in the friggin' world.
like honestly, like with no disrespect to any of the influencers out there, the influencers, it's like they influence what they influence what we do, eat, think is cool. They influence what we should be shopping for. They influence, the places we should go. Why? I mean, just out of curiosity, just somebody give me who ordained this person the influencer?
We did.
We did. Exactly. What is wrong with us? Why are we giving power where there's nothing? But and again on the internet and the concept of it, be careful. I mean, we all have seen what happens, in Terminator 2. We know this is a slippery slope where we could go. The more we get into this, and the more we say, damn, it's cool to have the internet. But just remember that at the end. I blame everyone else. I don't blame me. I didn't vote for it, and I never gave a decree of support for the internet. So
I don't know, dude. I think I was friends with you on MySpace.
Yeah, that was the last time I was. No, the internet.
Top eight. Yeah.
Yeah, top 8. I was in Ian's top 8.
Yeah.
At some point. But yeah, I think, of course, there's positives. This show exists because of it.
Yeah. So I guess.
Yeah, that's the highest positive. But there's a lot of other negatives.
Yeah.
I.e., everyone who, again, the echo chamber of importance is, shouldn't maybe be there. And like I said, when I was growing up, whatever I would say, it would echo to my mom and dad probably, and they'd be like, all right, that sounds cool, shut up. It's like now we've got to hear what all these people have to say, which is, a lot of people don't need to be heard, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Or even too, just like words don't solve big issues. It's like it's just kind of chiming in on the topic of something going on. It's just kind of like, and so why are you the person that we should listen to for this?
This is the ordained preacher of concept that we've created on the internet, whether it's some guy on X or whatever it is. But also, I have to compliment the hat. That's a pretty nice hat you got there.
You can see.
I can. How do I get? I need to get one of these. I need you to ship me one of those. I love.
You're familiar with the mothership?
Yeah, I think Joe Rogan is awesome. My one of our buddies we were just in Austin. We played a couple shows during South by Southwest there, and a lot of the people we were with, they were constantly basically just going to Mothership and then coming back to the venue. And one night they were there, and I don't remember who was there. It was like Joe Rogan and a few other people. Pauly Shore stopped in and some other things. And one of the dudes has a pack of Zen, and my buddy was Zen, and then the dude just comes out and like fist bumps him and throws him a pack of Zen right before he does his bit. And it was like, it's just very funny. And Mothership's awesome. I mean, it's a great spot. Joe Rogan's amazing, and
Yeah, I mean, I could do a separate. Well, the thing about this hat is it's one of one. So
one.
And first of all,
what's the price?
I don't know.
It's scarcity. Scarcity.
Yeah. I mean, so first I gotta say thank you for noticing and respecting the comedy mothership. I used to work for a screen printing and an embroidery company as early as like 2 or 3 months ago, and I wanted to try and get Joe Rogan to print and do his merch with the company I worked for is called Axelrad. And so I got a bunch of hats done up. The one I sent him was black with white thread, and I had our designer make a bunch of different Comedy Mothership t-shirt designs and also stuff for his Higher Primate website. And I sent it out, fingers crossed, and I heard nothing back.
You know why? Do you know why? I'll tell you. Okay. I have never seen Joe Rogan wear a hat.
I've seen him wear a hat.
Has he?
I've seen him wear hats, yes.
So yes, wait, maybe I'm wrong, but that was he got the hat and he's like, look, everyone's got to see my bald head and that I like to eat elk. It doesn't show well through the hat. And
yeah, so I was like
pushing elk or bison or
elk. It's elk, yeah.
Oh yes, yeah.
The hat that I sent him wouldn't be a hat that he would necessarily wear. At least from what I've seen, I don't know him, unfortunately. But
I've talked to Joe, and I know that he would not wear that. Yeah.
But no, it was like one of those things. I'm like, okay, worst case scenario, nothing happens. I said like middle of the road scenario. he at least like maybe wears one of the shirts on a podcast episode or wears the hat on the podcast episode. You know, the next level would be mentioning where he got it from. And then, you know, ultimate would be him printing with us.
Oh yeah.
And then, you know, inviting me onto his show. That would, but no, I mean,
like a serious podcast. And when I say serious, not that this is not. This is very serious, but I feel like
it's not.
I can't listen to too much of the Joe Rogan stuff. I have a lot of buddies who do. The only reason being, I don't think there's an episode like under like 3 hours or something. It feels like they're a million years long. I could be wrong. Am I correct?
They're very long. Yeah, 2, 3, 4 hours sometimes.
I just don't know. I'm never in one spot for that long to be able to listen, I think. And that's the hard part. Or I'm interrupted too much, even if I'm like working or whatever.
Yeah.
To be able to like really pay attention. So
yeah. So I sent in the box. I don't know if he got it. I mean, I sent it to I had an address. Like I had the county mothership. I at least had somewhere that I knew that it could be sent to. I mean, I couldn't send it to a studio. No one knows where that is, right? But like I know that he has a physical location, and whether I don't know how things work. Maybe he never got it. Maybe, you know, some people that worked the door opened it up and took it and ran off with it. Who knows? But he did not call me. We are not printing for Joe Rogan. I will not be appearing on his podcast. So,
well, I don't see a point in appearing on his podcast until he acknowledges the efforts that you've given him. So,
you're right.
You know, I wouldn't accept that invite if it was presented.
Of course, you're right. You are right. But
you
we're not here to talk about Joe Rogan. We're not. I mean, I could talk about him all night.
You know, I mean, we could.
I was going to actually say earlier. You said Joe Blow, and I was wondering, maybe have you tried that?
The gum.
The gum. Should I send gum?
No, I'm fucking around.
No, I have not tried that, but maybe I should. I don't know. But
are you in like a basement or what?
This is a basement. Yes, I've had guests.
Basement because we don't have basements here, but Pennsylvania has basements.
Yeah,
and that looks like a very nice basement. You got like brick. You got lights.
This is. I'm sitting at my bar in my basement. I have a bar in my basement. Yes. So this is the back. Currently, the bar top is where my computer is sitting. I do podcasts from here. I do that more than I do entertaining people at the bar. So
I want to come do this podcast in real life at the bar. That sounds more appropriate.
And you know what? People keep this is a little over 3 years I've been doing this for, and people keep saying you got to do it in person. I'm like, you're right. You are 100% right. There's no better way to have a conversation than face to face, person to person, right?
For sure.
But there's some things that are limited me from, you know, getting a studio. I don't make money doing this. This is purely a passion project, all that kind of stuff. So,
well, Joe Rogan, you know, if your boy Joe Rogan flips you, I think he signed for what? I don't know, this new Spotify deal. It's, you know, I think he's got
more money than he needs.
Spare pennies he can throw your way.
So he's going to hear this, and then yes, I'll be on my way. But so yeah, so there's I can't afford to do rent at a studio. And then
but why go to a studio when you have a bar?
Right. So, but I don't want
backwards. You're going to where we don't want to go. I don't want to go to your studio. I want to go to your bar.
Okay. So yeah. I would have people, and I've thought about doing this, but then I don't want to invite strangers into my home.
I'm not a stranger. We go way back now. We've been on this podcast for at least 10 minutes?
Episode 2, you're no longer a stranger, then you can come into my home. But yeah, so there's that, right? And then I do it at night. I've got 2 kids. I'm married. So like I do the dad stuff. Like tonight I left work early, got my son, took him to baseball practice, got home, ate dinner, did the homework, practiced his spelling words, played a game of Sorry really quick before bed, which by the way, I can't be, my wife and I lose to him every single night. My wife won tonight, but like, I don't understand it.
There's strategy, you know? He knows
there is B6, and we're definitely smarter than he is. My wife is a pharmacist. She is way smarter than I'll ever be. Like, there's no way that this kid should be beating us every night, but he does. So I do all that stuff, and then I do the podcast at night when my children are in bed, and then my wife can get a break from me being me, and kind of just chill out, watch whatever murder show is on Netflix, and she has her time, I have mine, and it's a good balance. But if I had a studio I had to go to and all that kind of stuff, I'd have to leave the house and do all this. But
no way, no point. There's no point. We just need to get a lot more episode 2s going so that we can, come see the basement. What beer? Anything on tap?
I'm still actually no. I used to have a kegerator, but I got rid of that when I moved out of my last house to come into this house. No, 2 houses ago. I have a place here in the corner for a fridge, and I have not yet bought one. So nothing on tap. There's whiskey and stuff like that over there. No beers down here at all whatsoever. Like I said, I don't entertain a lot of people. It's weird.
Where is Scranton in Pennsylvania?
Like
northeast.
Yeah. Northeast. So kind of like towards like the no disrespect to the Philadelphia side of this nice state, but the shittier side, I guess. And I say that only because my whole family's from Pittsburgh area. So it explains a little bit of
Yeah, we're east of Pittsburgh, north of Philly, south of New York. They call it NEPA, which is northeastern Pennsylvania.
We played in Philadelphia several years ago. Terrible people, terrible crowd. Horrible,
really?
Bad sports fans. No, I'm kidding. It was an awesome show. But it was a place called Underground Arts. I don't know if anybody's familiar with it or you're familiar with it.
I'm not.
But it was a cool spot in Philadelphia. I think it was Philadelphia. It was Underground Arts. But I don't know much about Scranton, though. Like, I don't know what the good. I'm trying to wonder what you would have on tap. Basically, is where I'm kind of going with all of this. But
Yuengling.
But Yuengling's such an easy answer. It's a Pennsylvania or Pottsville, Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah. Yep.
The
Susquehanna Brewing Company is in Pittston, Pennsylvania, which is what's that?
What was the name of it?
It's called Susquehanna Brewing Company.
Good.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what else. Lion's Head is in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. You ever heard that?
I have not. I don't know where Wilkes-Barre is either, though. But there's a lot of
south of
and stuff.
Yeah, Wilkes-Barre is south of Scranton. I think what else is obviously The Office was based in Scranton.
Yes. Yep. That's
so we have that.
That's the so we have that, which is nice.
Which is nice.
But
yeah, it's not a lot going on here. Not a ton. We have a couple. We have Montage Mountain, which is about an 18,000 seat venue, outdoor pavilion.
That's a little big for us. We're more of like the 18 capacity.
So
but
FM Kirby Center, 1,800.
No, like 18.
18 people. Okay, I can find a spot for that too.
Yeah. And you're in the basement. It's a multi-use
backyard party. Yeah. You guys seem like you guys are a fun band, and it's your description is loud as fuck and fast as fuck.
Yes. See, that's been ordained that way. The internet spoke.
That was the best we could come up with too. That was like we were trying to be as descriptive as possible, and that's what came up.
Well, I got this other thing, and I kind of want to read it. I don't know if one of you wrote it or if you had a PR team write this or what it might be.
Yes.
Do you mind if I read this?
Our PR team, is a huge, with our budget. We've got Joe Rogan money over here.
Right.
So we hire multiple PR people to write what was it? Fast as fuck and loud as fuck. That's what all the money in the world can buy is that right there.
Well, that's kind of like the Pepsi logo. It's simple, but it's profound.
This is so it's just ChatGPT is what you're saying.
Essentially.
Well, if that's what PR is now, which I'm not doubting it is, because they're probably right at least correct grammatically. But
yeah. Well, do you mind if I read this quickly for anyone listening?
I don't know what you're going to read, but please do.
Okay. Well, this might make it fun then. Think back to the last time you ripped a steamy piss at your local dive bar / venue bathroom. Did you stop to take note of the musings or the scrawling so delicately placed on the wall? Did it make you laugh? Did it make you cry? Did it make you angry or upset? Did you contribute? Did you rewrite history? We wrote a record about how we think you felt when you inscribed your life's work to that snot rocket inhabited bathroom stall. Some say this is our Chinese democracy. We simply think there's so much more in your words that inspired us that we could never belittle this record that way. Signed, Suck Brick Kid.
I think that really embodies the record. I think it sums it up nicely. You know, it's very factual. You know,
Yeah, it's a lot of questions.
It's a lot of questions. A lot of questions. You know, we don't, not a lot of statement, but
Open-ended, right?
it's open-ended. You know, it's up for interpretation. You know, a lot of it. And again, I think the writing process of, you know, whatever this person, if I could talk to every, you know, all 10 or 11 people or whatever, however many tracks on this record, who wrote whatever they did on the wall, then I would have a little bit better perspective. But they didn't give me a lot of info, so we just kind of expanded upon their one sentence or their, you know, whatever they were feeling so obligated to put on a bathroom wall, you know, or bathroom stall, etc. You know, sometimes writing on a toilet, you know, which we've seen. I think the record, the vinyl insert is going to have actually all of the photos of the inscriptions, you know, or the bathroom graffiti. And so it'll at least give perspective to each song, and each track is named exactly what those inscriptions are, you know.
And that's such a cool like concept. It really is.
Yeah, it was very unique and a lot more fun than, you know, quote unquote, writing the song about the girl, you know, or whatever. We're kind of collectively getting a little old for that. And
Right.
I'm kind of bored with that concept. And I mentioned on something earlier that it's more about, at this point in life, writing about, you know, divorces and bankruptcies and, you know, my kid's a fuck up or whatever variation, which my kid is not. So please don't take that wrong.
Good for you.
But I mean, real things that, you know, adults actually deal with, not, you know, who we're going to prom with and my first beer. So we kind of wrote this record a little bit differently than, I guess, standard punk bands or, you know, pop punk, for lack of better words, would talk about, you know. So it gave us a lot of creative freedom, and I'm appreciative of the concept, and I have to thank Ian in kind of guiding that boat and creating that concept, you know.
It's you're right though. You know, you're getting older, and it's
well, you didn't have to, I said it. You didn't have to say it. I'm getting much older. Yeah.
Well, and you're an elder punk, right? This is like
I don't even. I hate that.
He loves elder emo.
Yes, yeah.
Elder emo. Okay.
No. I just don't. The elder, the whole thing.
Crust punk.
Yes, I'm a crust punk. That's No, I'm kidding. Don't use any of these terms.
Old punk.
Oh, yes. So you hit the nail on the head there. You know, I'm getting slight grays in my beard that weren't there.
I got them too.
You know?
But you're right though. It's like a lot of the punk stuff is not, you know, it doesn't have that context in the songs.
It doesn't speak to all ages anymore.
Right.
You know, we're trying to, and not honestly, like, not to get too deep into it, but genre by genre, like, it's very easy to say you're supposed to write this in pop music or country, the song about my dog and my truck and my gun or whatever variation that we're writing in country at this point, you know. But if you take pop punk or punk music, it's typically all written about the same shit, just like country is, except it's all boring and been done over and regurgitated in a copy of a over and over, and that is boring, and I don't care about listening to that anymore, you know. So we kind of did this in a selfish way to write about things that we want to write about and want to hear about, and things that, you know, dudes in their 30s and, you know, even in their 40s are looking at in real life and going, well, yeah, this speaks to me a little more than, you know, who I'm going to prom with, etc. That shit is, you know, or a mood ring, if you will, you know, or whatever cool, you know, fucking trash that we can write about as punk bands. Yeah.
Was that hard for you to do? Like with this
Honestly,
style?
It was so laughably easy.
Nice.
That it was so refreshing and laughably easy not to be like pigeonholed, which I know the only people doing that would be ourselves, but to say that, no, you got to do it this way, or you got to write it that way, or you got to, you know, and we worked with a really great production team. Ian's kind of kicking the project off. A guy named Andrew Wade helped us in Free Pro, who did a lot of great records for really big bands like A Day to Remember and The Ghost Inside and nothing in our genre or anything like that. But he's got a really good creative approach to songwriting, helped us a lot with that. And then we got to work with another guy named Andy Karpovic, who tracked the record and kind of, put the bow on it. And, and then it was mastered at a really great punk room in Colorado called The Blasting Room, which has done so many amazing records from everything from NoFX to, Hot Water Music and a lot of other punk bands that we have loved throughout our lives,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it definitely was faster, easier to write in that way than it is about the writing about somebody calls out a topic and you start writing about it. And I think it made a really cohesive body of work, on the record to basically take the same model and just take something and then like one inscription and then write how that person was feeling. And then the next inscription, write how that person was feeling. I think it made it a lot easier for us to put ourselves in those shoes and write, vicariously instead of being like, oh, we need to write about something internal and, try and fight those emotions in whichever way, whether positive or negative, to try and make something. You don't have to essentially put truth into it. Mm-hmm. And I think that made it easier and more efficient and digestible for us to get the record done,
Yeah, I can imagine that. Because I'd always get hung up on if I tried to write a song or anything like that, which I can't. But I think I'd always kind of look inward, like what am I going through? What am I feeling? Like how do I put that on paper? I don't think I would be a good storyteller where I could just create these, whatever it might be.
Well, I think you actually might be, because I kind of feel the same way. Like I've had a pretty good life. Like things are, very as expected for the most part, and I'm happy about that and thankful for it. But
notice he said had, which is past tense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. but it's kind of nice to springboard off of some other stuff and just see where your adult mind can go in using your imagination, being able to just look at a photo of some grody fucking bathroom art and come up with this whole vivid scenario that gets played out and there's characters and stuff is it's fun. It's just and it wasn't all right, I got to build this and I got to start introducing these characters. It was just trying to, and it was just me and him sitting there on this shared Google sheet, just listening to the song on loop and then writing, not even talking in person, but writing a little kind of funny thing. I'd be all right, take a look at this. And then he would look over at it and he'd be oh no. Yeah. He's okay, oh, hold on, wait, that makes me think of this. And then yeah, we were just.
It basically towards the end just became how stupid and offensive can the line be? Almost there's a lot of dumb shit in this record where, everything from squirrels giving AIDS to humans and, fucking, there's a line about basically a dude having no dick, but he still has balls, so his balls are lonely and blue. There's stuff like that throughout the record that is really stupid that we obviously took a lot of liberties with, which it's not going to be for everybody, and that is totally fine. It's not meant for everybody. It's definitely, if you take it too seriously, it's probably not for you, and that's okay. But I think that it's been the most enjoyable process that I've gone through in writing a record, because it's given us that creative freedom that you don't always kind of get when you're kind of held into an area. And, collaborative writing is kind of how we've always approached it within the whole band. So, but a lot of the lyric side is done with him and I alone, which is, I really like, because you don't have, 10 voices kind of saying, write it this way or write it that way. Right. Which I've been in projects and shit like that before where you're trying to model it to a certain way, which always means it's not as creative as it can be, and so this is kind of taking the handcuffs off and letting us be as creative as we want to be. And yeah. That's what I really appreciate about the writing process on this.
And it's been, you had the one record I think came out in 2020. It was acoustic versions. If I'm wrong, correct me.
You might be wrong. Our first LP came out probably about that time. It was called Salt to Taste.
Right.
I believe it was right before COVID, and it was right before COVID, which was very annoying because when we put the record out, we had a lot of plans, a lot of stuff going on that kind of got trashed, in the process. Yeah. And we kind of recircled back and said, well, what can we do right now? So we played a bunch of acoustic shows around that record that were like spaced out and, COVID friendly and masks and, all that fun stuff throughout that time. And we didn't get to play a lot of full band shows throughout that because that wasn't really a thing, for most of the time. So we live in a very open state in relation to COVID. Florida was kind of like, oh, well, we've been closed a month. Let's open the shit back up.
Yeah.
But shows were still very not real here. So we played a bunch acoustic, and sometimes it would be like, like people are like 40 yards away type thing, and you're playing acoustically in this little like tent, but nobody can be around each other. So there's like 10 yards between them all, and it's very like strange, almost looking at it being like, if this is the future, I don't know if if live music ever has a chance, at this point. And, I'm glad that we're not all the way past the COVID, but I think it's nice that we're seeing live shows become a thing. I know where you're at in Pennsylvania was probably the last one.
Yeah, we were locked down for, I mean, we're not California by any means, but yeah, it was.
I don't think, no disrespect to Pennsylvania or California in the processes, but I think they're still. I think they were one, and you're probably two. But
probably.
I just know that because I actually told the story earlier. I went to a show in Pittsburgh not long ago, and in Florida we've been playing a lot of shows. We've done a lot recently. I haven't seen a mask at a show in a long time. It happens, of course, and I applaud anybody who's willing to do that. Not because of COVID. Fuck COVID. There's so much other nasty bullshit that's spread around, whether it's the flu or the cold or whatever bullshit. I hate getting sick. I hate getting sick from a show. That's so annoying. And obviously, so I respect it. But Pennsylvania or Pittsburgh, go to a show and it's like a DIY space or whatever. And it's like, this is like a few months back. It's like, to come in, you got to put a mask on. And I'm like, man, I haven't put a mask on in like 2 years. I'm from Florida. So I put it on. I don't care. I'll happily do whatever makes everybody feel safe, and we get in and I'm immediately like, well, what do we do when we grab a beer? And it's like, well, we don't sell anything alcohol in this venue anymore, or we don't do alcohol in this venue anymore because of masks. And I'm like, well, fuck, I don't want to be here. I don't care about this show that much. I've seen a lot of bands, in my life. So as much as, I want to see bands play and shit, but you know what? The beer was kind of the main reason I was going, but I'll go ahead and hang out for a set, and I'm gonna walk across the street. So,
how do you a venue and make money without the sale of alcohol?
Selling masks.
So the mask is what, $5 now? I think inflation. Are we? I don't know. I think the mask came free with the ticket. It wasn't very. I don't know if the business model is very sustainable. But at some point, I don't know when. What I don't like, and let me figure out a way to phrase this. It doesn't come off as I'm like anti this or anti that or positive this or positive that. What I don't like is in any format of life, any format, individuals, just like I said about the soapbox, dictating their beliefs of any which way onto other individuals. If you believe, first off, if shows need to be taken to that level of strictness of health and concern, they should not be happening. Shows should not be happening. You should not be putting people in a room if you feel that has to be controlled in that environment. So again, I understand that can sound like I am anti this or positive that or whatever. All I am is if we don't feel it's safe to have a show, then let's not have a show.
Right.
We didn't do that for years. But when is it okay for us to have a show? And who is making the calls for us to have a show? Of course, every venue and owner of every venue has the right to say what they want the rules to be in every venue. But it doesn't make a lot of sense to me to be a venue that doesn't sell anything. How are you even surviving other than GoFundMe's and bullshit that is which again, the CDC, again, you can say this person said this and the government said that, but my friend over here said that masks don't work, and my friend over here says that masks work. All the bullshit and all the noise and all that stuff. Again, it's typically a singular person dictating concept. And I don't care if it's about COVID, if it's about anything political. Why should one person get to dictate to a mask anything? So when you're going into a venue, if you want to wear a mask and it makes you feel safe, I think you should absolutely do it. I think that if you tell me that a mask will make you feel safer, I'm all for it. My job is not here to make you feel uncomfortable. However, at what point do we move forward?
Right.
You tell me when, because is it forever? If it's forever, I don't know, man, then maybe we shouldn't be doing shows here.
Right.
And coming from Florida, I'm a little jaded because I was like 2 months in, they're like, yeah, kick it back up, COVID's gone. Obviously that was not the case, but, and it's not to belittle the serious nature of COVID, right. But truthfully, I don't want any of the shit. I don't want the flu. I don't want the common cold. I don't want anything. I guess if everyone else could mask, I'd really appreciate it. Every single human other than me, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
I would like a theme park, or whatever. That would be very cool to go to and be like, everyone's masked, so I am perfect. I don't have to wear a mask because everyone else is masked.
Right.
But I just think we're now at the point, several years in, where everyone is welcome to make whatever calls they want in their own buildings that they operate. However, if we're over at House of Blues and there's 2,500 people in it, and then we're somewhere else and there's 2,000 people in it, but then over here, this venue that holds 50 is like, nope, we're not doing it. You got to wear a mask. I'm like, what? We have no consistency anymore. There's no format of like wrong, right, and different. So to me, it's very frustrating. I reference this and going through putting a record out right before COVID came. I know there was a billion other things in the world that were more important than a record coming out right before COVID. Obviously, the whole world collapsing, everybody losing businesses, people losing loved ones. All of those things are infinitely more important. Selfishly, it pissed me off that, of course, that our record came out right before all of that shit happened.
Of
and
course.
Having a bunch of COVID-friendly shows, I really looked forward to the opportunity to play, real shows with real faces and real people. And, so I think that everyone yearns for that in that world. The live music setting is what we, the only reason any of us go to concerts or any of us do that. So the faster we get back to it, great. Of course, there's the safety nature of it, but if the CDC and all these things are saying good to go, again, now we're picking and choosing as an individual what we're going to dictate onto everyone else. And that, to me, if you talk about punk or quote unquote punk rock or whatever, the status quo and copying what everybody tells you to do is, in my opinion, not why that was created. However, to each their own, so I think creating your own narrative is kind of what that is. I don't believe that at this point we need masked venues. That's my opinion, because the same people pushing those things, I see them going to Disney World, et cetera, and all these other places where I'm like, it's kind of like at this point grandstanding or like a look at me concept, where I don't know, I can't tell if you're serious or you're not, because you're with 20,000 people today. Yeah, you're wearing a mask, but I mean, dude, you're with 20,000 people and now you're saying that everyone around me's got to do X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
But you can't enforce that with 20,000. So why are you enforcing it over here? So some of that stuff is kind of weird. And again, Florida perspective is definitely different than Pennsylvania, definitely different than California.
Yeah.
But every time I visit other states, I always find it not humorous, but humorous when I'm told I need to put a mask on at this point, to go into a show or whatever. And I'm like, this place didn't get the memo, 2 years ago that, yes, there's vaccinations. Yes, you can do all of those things and do them all. I think everyone should do whatever they feel makes them safer. Wear a mask if it makes you feel safer. I'll even wear masks if you say, hey, if you wear a mask, I would feel safer. Of course, the idea is to make everyone feel safe in whatever space they can be. However, making policies about it becomes, in my opinion, at this point, kind of weird, because you're just personally making like a decree that others need to follow now. So I could say anything I want, but if I'm sitting at the venue door, now all of a sudden I've been made, a czar somehow, or been granted the I don't care what anybody says, you need to put a mask on in this venue. Whether I own it or not, I've seen that happen as well, just depending on the perspective of the door person. So I don't like being force fed anything, whether it's that, and at this point in time, before, trust me, I wore a mask constantly, or for fucking years everywhere. But how many years are we going to go, and when does it end?
Right.
Give me the answer to that, and they're going to say when COVID is gone. COVID is never going anywhere.
Never going. Yep.
It's going to just be less and less, hopefully, knock on wood, less and less potent. The vaccinations obviously help. I'm going to sit here and say, anti-vax and all this bullshit. I think that there's validity to getting our, what is it called? Our immunity, the antibodies, et cetera, up, to eliminate it. But what I really want to see is just the return of live music in a normal fashion everywhere. I don't like the differences from venue to venue or state to state, or the policies that every single place just decides, on a whim. I think that is the problem, that I see sometimes when I go to a venue, especially in the punk scene. More so in the punk scene than in any other scene,
I feel like it's optics, and I think it goes back to the internet. There's so much this perception, and I don't want to be viewed as this place that is X, Y, or Z, and it's just like, instead of like just doing what you feel is right, or what you want to do, you're always wondering like, well, what are they going to think of me if I do this or don't do that? It's too much.
Well, yeah. Again, I don't. I know. I just look at it different. I don't look at not everything is a popularity contest, and I'm not running for fucking mayor. So I'm not sitting here going, oh, well, if I do this, then somebody will like me more. Or if I do this, then somebody will like me less. So I don't judge at this point, I've gotten old enough to go, I don't look at it and go, if you don't like what I'm saying, trust me, I don't fucking care. And if you like what I'm saying, cool, let's have a chat about it. And that's kind of my perspective. I'm not here to make anybody happy. That's not my job. But at the same point, I respect every human on the planet. Yeah. I'll do whatever makes everybody happy in the long term. However, it's not my job, your job, or his job to just acquiesce every human being and their requests all the time. I could ask for anything. I could say, look, if you're coming to our show, you must bring us 3 green M&Ms to get in. Okay, well,
try that.
I don't know. I'm just doing it, but and that's kind of like where I'm getting at here. Like, no one really should be able to dictate anything to anybody, other than the basics of life.
I agree.
Hey, here's the entry. Here's the price. If it's too expensive, I don't care. It's too expensive. I don't like that it's expensive. But guess what? Should I bitch about it? No, just don't buy it. That's how that's how the market works. If you don't want to buy something, don't go to. If the show is too expensive, don't go. That sends a message. If the show is affordable, go. Support bands, support that stuff. But I've seen like, oh, the T-shirts are too expensive now. It's like we charge like $15 or $20 for a T-shirt. It's like, that's a lot of money. And I'm like, man,
that's standard.
Yeah, I was gonna say, have you been to a big concert where they're charging like $75 for a T-shirt or some shit? So.
Well, working in that industry will open my eyes to a bunch of shit.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. Like, we'll set the price at 20, right, or 15, or depending on where we're at. We'll charge as little as we can. But if you don't like it, I don't care. Don't tell me don't tell me it's too expensive. Say it with action. Don't fucking.
I also think that the consumer doesn't know that a venue will also take a cut of your merch.
For sure. Fortunately, we are pretty lucky to not play, and Live Nation and other big concert promoters have gotten in enough hot water recently, and the tide has kind of turned with some of the bigger bands kind of lashing back and posting their dirty laundry about merch splits and things like that. That I think Live Nation just came out maybe a month or two ago and said they weren't going to take splits moving forward. So that was a big thing that, in the merchandising world for bigger bands, et cetera, playing Live Nation rooms, I don't know. I can't say the rest for, some of the other guys doing it, the bigger rooms. But, the merch cut. And then obviously the cost of, cotton has gone up substantially since COVID. Cost of plastic and ink, all that.
The blanks, ink, everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So all of that rises, and bands are supposed to still charge, $5 to get in and $10 for a shirt. And meanwhile, the beer is $8 at the bar, and you got no fucking issue buying 12.
No one says shit about that. It's weird.
Yeah.
That sure will.
I love it. You're sitting at the merch booth selling something, and dude walks up with like a $9 Sierra Nevada or some shit in his hand, and he's like, yeah, dude. I mean, I would have bought it, but 15 is kind of a lot. And I'm like, dude, you're carrying around a $9 beer. I mean, I get it. Don't buy the fucking shirt. I would save my money for the beer too.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's hard for me to take you seriously on pricing if your beer is almost the price of the fucking shirt and you're saying it's too expensive.
And the shirt will last you forever ish.
Yeah. I mean, at least 3 washes, but it's, I think I'm really selling our merch well in this conversation.
Yeah. Buy the merch.
It's
more cost efficient than buying a beer.
Yeah, but which one will you have more fun with?
That's up for debate. It's up for debate.
I mean,
maybe the shirt you had. Maybe the shirt you had down to your.
The debatable is one beer is not 10 beers. One beer does not make 10. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe the shirt's more valuable if it's 1 for 1. But 10 beers versus the one shirt, I'll take the 10 beers.
But maybe the shirt you buy, and it's a constant reminder of what a great time you had at the show. Maybe one day you hand it down to your kid. Maybe one day you get a girlfriend, and that becomes her favorite shirt. So your girlfriend steals that shirt. Now it's cute because she stole your shirt. Ha ha ha.
I don't know why my brain went to this, but I really was like, in my head, I'm like, all right, so you're on your deathbed. You're trying to decide what you're going to leave your children. And you're like, you know what? I got this Suck Brick Kid shirt from, some show in Pennsylvania. I got nothing else. I have nothing else left. I've got no money. I've got no properties. I've got nothing. But to my son, who I value most, here's my one Suck Brick Kid shirt that I got from a long time ago. I think that really speaks volumes.
I think I would do both. I would get the shirt so that I remember the night, and then I'd get the 10 beers.
Well, you're rich, man. Because
hey, I'm at a punk show. Come on, man. It doesn't take,
No, dude. Our trick is don't tell us to any of the venues. Our trick is to load. We have a road case that essentially is like a cooler. So we load that shit with ice and beer. We roll it into the back door, and then we don't buy the beers at the fucking bar.
Yeah.
But
it should be part of the deal. You don't pay for beer.
We don't do that in Orlando, though. We try and support our local venues. All the other ones, fuck them. But,
We'll see. This new record coming out, and it's not, COVID is, as of right now, it is an election year, so who knows what's going to happen. But as of right now, you're going to release this album, and there's nothing stopping you. There's nothing holding you back.
No, I mean, other than, age and nothing really holding us back with this one, and that's awesome because I feel like it took a long time to get here, to this point. So to get this record finally moving and get the first single out, I was like, oh wait, it's real. Wait, there's actually a record that's happening, and so I think we're putting out another single in 2 weeks, I think. So I'm excited about that, and then obviously the record comes out May 17th. So on Smartpunk Records, which we're very happy with. So. But yeah,
that's cool. So when this airs, there may be 3 songs available from the new record coming out the 17th. But as of right now, there are 2. It's Okay, Probably, and Unacceptable.
Yep, those are the 2 available right now. And Unacceptable is a 40-second little hateful song. And
loud as fuck, fast as fuck.
Yeah,
fast as fuck. Yeah.
Literally a 40-second song.
Is it 40 seconds?
I think it's 40 seconds.
It's a shorty.
45 seconds, 40 something seconds there.
Damn, it must have just went into another song after that, and I didn't even.
Yeah, it happens in a split second. It's gone. So it's
shit.
But It's Okay Probably was really like the single that was released, and then we did a video for it that's also out on YouTube right now.
45 seconds.
45 seconds.
Yeah.
My fiance, probably, says, 45 seconds a minute, who's counting. She always tells me that to, boost the ego a little bit. So.
You want to talk about getting old? but
Nice segue there. It's a good segue.
So when I was leaving Axelrad, like I said, I just left about 5 to 6 weeks ago. It was an awesome place to work. Like, total like DIY atmosphere. Everyone like, except for like 2 of us out of the 40, I feel like was in a band or had played in a band at some point. But last week I was there. They were putting up a basketball hoop inside the facility. And I'm like, holy shit! Like I can't believe I'm gonna be leaving this. Like, So it's like 4:45. We're fucking around. We're playing basketball. We're playing knockout. And like I'm not active by any means. And I decided to jump in this game of knockout. I win the game of knockout. It's me. It comes down to me and a guy who's 30 years old. I'm 41. And I'm like, I can't lose. I can't. Whatever I do, I don't want to ever lose. But we're going back and forth. Like it just won't end. We're both dying. I finally win, and I never felt like I was going to die more than that moment. I just couldn't catch my breath. I'm like, holy shit! Like I knew I was out of shape, but I'm like, is this like? I can't catch my breath. I had to just go sit down in my office. Like I'm like, this is bad news. But I just kind of I shook it off, moved on with my day. But I was like, wow, that's pretty bad. I should probably like do something about it. But I'm like, whatever. I like being fat, eating bad food. And
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I mean, what? Basically, in Florida, we don't have a lot of seasons, but it's hot as all hell. It's about to be. It's honestly like 80 degrees or so right now. It's pretty nice. But in May, in June, July, August, it's like 100 degrees, 2,000,000% humidity. So it's kind of like, in my head, I'm like, I have 2 seasons of athleticism. Let's put it that way. I could do something maybe, in the winter and in the fall. There's, in the summer, forget it. Like, I don't even want to play a show in Florida. I don't want to do shit. And we're about at the tail end. I think we're going to play May 17th here. And I'm like, let's just wait way out until, maybe September to do another thing. Cause it's like, that shit affects me a lot more now. The heat more than anything. We've played venues where there's no air. We've played venues where it's like the walls are dripping type shit. And it's like, getting a little bit older, that's not as easy as it used to be, when it's like, you're sweating for, 45 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever it is. And it's not just like a little, it's like, I can't see out of my eyes. You know what I mean? So, yeah. I think that's the biggest thing that I can tell with age that is getting harder is playing hot, no air, 120-degree rooms. We played something in Gainesville, which I love. My favorite festival type thing that happens in this country is called The Fest. And it's in Gainesville, Florida. It's like 400 punk bands, kind of like us, that kind of all get together and play a bunch of different venues there. And of course, the venue that we got where we were at, the air broke on Friday and we were playing Sunday. So there was no air, and we played at like 6 p.m. I think it was, and it was a hot day. Probably 92 degrees when we played or whatever. And it was just brutal. The end of it, I'm like woozy trying to get out of the fucking room. Like, and I think that, doing those shows that's where I feel old now. Any of the other shows when it's cold out, oh man, give me that all day. I feel like I'm 14 again, but the hotter it gets, the more difficult it gets,
Yeah. So good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the shortness of breath and all this kind of stuff, like walking up steps, I'm like, oh, this is not good. So I went to the doctor and we're doing a whole workup of stuff. Like I had like an echocardiogram and I got a bunch of blood work done, and I have high cholesterol, turns out. Which I'm not surprised about, but it's not like terribly too high, but like it's high. And I'm like, yeah, this is it. This is being old, and
dude, you got to go to that veg diet, man. Just some salads and some beans here and there, and you'll get that cholesterol in order.
Yeah, listen, my lunch hour at work is like my favorite time of the day. And it's because it's the only hour of my day that I have to myself, really. Outside of work, like you come home and said, wife, kids, a million things to do. it's the only time of my day that I like get to sit down and just like enjoy a good meal and quiet.
I mean,
I
I
love
can
that part of the day.
for sure. I think that's great. You know, all I'm referencing is, I mean, sometimes salads are good.
Sometimes, but not enough. Like,
I mean, you could throw some, like some chicken on it or whatever, and
you don't have to.
I mean, or you just take the cholesterol medicine and you move it on with your life.
I don't want to do that either. So I'm gonna have to try to exercise and eat better.
That sounds so hard.
It's terrible. It's probably.
Let's think about this. So you're going to convert the bar in the basement to now a workout room, podcast room, and a bar?
Sure.
Because it's going to be really hard to work out of that room and stare at the bar and go, damn it, I'd really love a beer right now.
Well, I mean, when you have no beer looking at you, I mean,
we got to work on this bar a little bit.
I know.
Those are empties behind it.
Yeah, there's a can on your left.
Oh, this is actually empty. This is this is a beer that I actually made.
Popko's Porter.
Yeah.
Dude, how do we get one of those?
Well, so I teamed up with a local brewery. And he went to the same high school as I did. It's got just like a brew pub, like a nano brewery. Like I think he has like 7 or 8 beers on tap at all times of his own stuff. And like this whole podcast I wanted to like do the interviews, support bands, promote bands, but I also wanted to do like cool stuff. So we brewed this beer. I actually helped him, and then we sold it, and all the proceeds went to our high school music program.
That's awesome.
For the kids. Yeah.
Yeah. For the kids.
For the kids.
I initially thought you said "fuck them kids," and I was like, "Oh,
no, for the kids." This is no Nickelodeon shit here. We're.
I was referencing Michael Jordan specifically, but
yes.
When I asked him about selling shoes, not necessarily the Hollywood elites that are evidently flying children from place to place. P. Diddy and that crew.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
It's nuts. I was watching a documentary on Alanis Morissette, and she was saying that she was like 15, and she would be with producers from like 3 p.m. until 3 a.m.
Please tell me that the documentary is called "You Ought to Know."
I don't know what it's called.
I mean,
but you're right. I understand. I see where you're going with that, and you're right. I like this
opportunity.
I don't know what it's called. I forget. But yeah, it's like these kids, like with these, like, it's. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird.
So wait, one more time. Alanis Morissette is with.
She was just with like producers. Like she was like 15 years old, and she was with producers from like 3 p.m. until 3 a.m. in the morning, like by herself. And it's just kind of crazy to think like that was like normal.
Yeah, definitely, probably shouldn't be. And obviously, you see all the child actors that have problems. Coming out of child acting. Too much pressure on children is not good all the way around. It's been proven. So yeah, I don't know if we'll ever get better at that because we always need kids in movies. Home Alone was, exploited my boy Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah.
Probably prior to Michael Jackson and others, but
it's crazy. It's so crazy. But no beer in that.
Well, we gotta do something to liven this bar up behind here. We gotta,
This is, I don't know, like a growler. This is also empty. It's all for show. This is fake. It's all fake.
We need more of the real. We need to get this bar flowing. I know Scranton, Pennsylvania. You get snowed in there. I don't know if it's time yet, but you better be stocked up. I mean, these podcasts,
often. Yeah.
Podcasts are hard to do. Day 27. Captain's log. And you're like stuck in the basement. You can't get out. There's no food. You better have some beer.
Well, the kids really derailed my fun and alcohol intake. My son will sleep until 7 a.m. every day, like clockwork. My daughter, though, she's a wild card. It could be 5.
I got an answer for your son.
Okay.
We're going to keep him up until midnight. Flashing lights, extremely loud music. I mean, Guantanamo Bay style shit. Keep him up till midnight. Then he's going to wake up at like 9 or 10, and then you're going to be like, all right, we got it solved.
No.
Panting and suck brick kid.
No, he'll like I've let him stay up till like 10 sometimes. Like on New Year's Eve, we let him up till 10, 7 a.m. And that's fine. I don't care about 7 a.m. And he's 6, so like, he got to an age where like he would just come into bed in the morning and like turn the TV on, and I would still sleep. My wife and I. It's my daughter who is the problem. She could be 5, 5:30, 6, and it's never consistent. So you never know.
That's hard. 5:30 a.m. So you got to get more on that happy hour schedule. The drinks start at 4, home by 8, 9. Up at 5. That's that schedule.
Yeah.
And eventually they get out of it, and then they're gonna sleep in all day. And
that's what I hear. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to talk about one more thing about the band, and I'll let you guys go. Your cover of Blink-182's "I Miss You."
Yeah.
So I miss you, or is it just miss you? I miss you.
I miss you. I think. So Smartpunk, the label, did a 20-year anniversary or 25-year, 20 or 25-year anniversary of that self-titled Blink-182 record. And so a bunch of bands got together and did one track each.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Of it, and that was our track that we did, and we turned it from a very, very slow song into a pretty fast song.
Oh yeah, it was loud as fuck and fast as fuck.
Yes, we didn't. We see, you declared it. We didn't declare it.
Oh, I did no such thing.
But
I pulled off somewhere.
That was fun to do. We did it a little bit more low key than we would normally do stuff, and we just kind of did it on our own. Ian recorded it all and produced it and did all the mastering and all the, so it's kind of like a much more like internal song than, maybe off the records would be or whatever. So super fun to do. And I think there's a lot of really good tracks on the record if you haven't heard it, beyond ours.
I haven't.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So check it out. It's cool. It's on vinyl. We have it for sale when we play shows. It'll be there. We're debating putting an online store that'll have that shit on it. But
gotcha.
For now, when we play is when that shit's available.
And as an elder punk, an old punk,
old punk,
crusty punk, or whatever we decide it's going to be.
So nice and endearing. Old crusty shitty punk guy that I'm talking to on this podcast.
No. You said it. Well, Ian said it, not me. Well, I guess I did say elder or old. I forget. But what are your thoughts about the way music is consumed and released and all that kind of stuff? Like that. I mean, I know how I feel about it. I don't really care for it. Well, I'm like a 60-40 split. I like getting more, or what I feel is more often, like new stuff from my favorite artists. But I'm also old school, like where, 2 years, get a new record, listen to it front to back, all that kind of shit. Like as being at your age, that is old. I mean, do you care, or is there like a beef with that?
With how it's consumed?
Yeah,
I do actually have a beef with it, and I really don't like the model of singles. And when I say that, like, hey, we're not going to do a cohesive body of music. We're going to release a single, and then in 3 months we're going to release another single, and in 3 months from then we're going to release another single. And like the way that is consumed, I fully understand. Like if you're trying to like break into the pop scene, into the country scene, into the any of these major genres of music, that the world is moving to singles and not records, which to me, I was always excited about records because I wanted to hear you got the first single and you got the second single. But man, most of the time when I would listen to a record that I wanted based off the singles, I found like songs that I loved a lot more on that record than the regurgitated singles that are, being force fed to you. And more often than not, like Spotify, Apple Music, all of those things, it's like, dude, there are 1,000, 2,000 punk bands in this country writing really good shit, really great music that never gets heard. But if I type in any punk playlist on Spotify, it's the same fucking 20 songs, and I don't really understand why we have to be force fed. Don't get me wrong. Every one of those 20 songs is an absolute banger and deserves all the fucking notoriety. Whether it's, you know, Bouncing Souls or, you know, Rancid or Blink-182 or, you know, so many great bands. I'm not going to even reference the big metal bands, but what I would love to, like, no matter which punk playlist you go to on Spotify, it's the same 20 fucking songs.
Yeah, you're right.
Why? I know why, but at the same point, you know, what if we just add in other good shit? So like me, I don't care about those 20 songs, not because I don't care about them. I think they're great songs, but I'd love to hear another 100 songs from all these other punk bands that maybe you'll discover and see. So I think the streaming dictation is very harder to break into. It's not like, you know, they say it's not pay to play, but guess what? It is fucking pay to play, and it's pay to play as bad as it gets on all of them. You know, it's, you know, who you know and who's getting paid and who's making the choices, et cetera. They can say it's not, but it for sure is, you know, and same thing with YouTube. And we actually have, like, I don't know, somehow magically, thanks to the bots, you know, near 500,000 plays on our music video that we just released a few weeks ago, where, you know, previously I think the best video we had was like 28 or 20 something thousand. Now we've got near 500,000. I don't know. That seems pretty magical to me. It seems like something got bought somewhere, or somebody's palms got greased to make a song, you know, a little bigger. So I think that, you know, I think it's definitely messy. I would like to see, you know, traditional albums done, even if you're going to put out singles. I think that's the fun part, at least for me as a consumer. I want to buy the record. I want to buy the collective body of work. You can't buy a single the same way. You know, it's not coming out on vinyl. I mean, maybe you're doing 45s. Who's doing that shit anymore at you know, big level? There, you know, some small punk bands are for sure. But the price of vinyl is so high that to do a 45 is like right near pressing an LP at this point. So it's not worth doing, you know. So the bang for the buck, you can't sell it for much. So I think, yeah, I've got a little bit of a beef with most of the way we're consuming music at this point. I think it's really bad for bands financially. Of course it is. If you look at the payouts from Spotify and, you know, Apple Music and those things, it's a completely abusive system, you know, of just, you know, we'll pay an eighth of a fucking penny, you know, for a stream. It's like, you know, and that's the way that music is, you know, devoured at this point. So really artists don't have a lot of other opportunity. And, you know, I love playing shows because that gives opportunity to buy records and things like that. And again, at our age, it's not about, oh man, we better sell, you know, enough records to eat some Taco Bell tonight. I'm not that stressed on it. So, you know, but prospectively, I just want people to hear the record and hear the music. And that's, you know.
Well, that's kind of why I feel like I like it. Like, I kind of like the way it's being consumed right now. Obviously, like, financially, it's not great for the artist, but I think it's amazing that we can go on to one of these streaming services and like remember a song from fucking 25 years ago that you're like, oh man, I remember I used to like hear this. You like go back to it and you're able to find it on there and you can listen to it. Or you could be like, oh, I didn't even know there was an album. I downloaded that on Napster or LimeWire or something back in the day, and it was one song and it had Bill Clinton at the beginning for some reason. But now I get to listen to the whole album. Or my favorite thing that I realized is whenever I was doing that, illegally downloading stuff back in the day, I would download like these like packs of songs, and then the artist and song names weren't correct. So I'd put it on my iPod and be listening to it and be like, yeah, like, man, I love Reliant K, and then somebody's like, dude, that is Comeback Kid. What are you talking about?
The big
like it's just like mismatched stuff that I don't know. It's just kind of nice to have the record like set straight with all that stuff, and you can search it and you can, I don't know. It's kind of cool. Obviously, in the active current setting of releasing music and everything, kind of dismal, but you know, we'll figure it out. Like, the goal is to play the music and get the people to hear it. So if this platform allows for that to happen, that's great. But
yeah, to really show my age, I came from a time where the CDR had to sell it. So I mean, it was like, you know, you go to like the old CD stores, the old like like, whether it was like Sam Goody, if anybody remembers that name, or FYE and things like that, they would have the listening stations.
Yeah.
And you would take your CD and be like, I gotta hear what this shit sounds like so I know if I want to buy it or not. Now music is so readily available that we don't have to do that anymore. However, we're not consuming music in the same. I mean, yes, when you go to upper echelons like Taylor Swift and shit like that, it is obsessive. It's obsessive. We're grabbing it and we want to hear all of it. And obviously you look at the tour scenario that she just did, biggest grossing tour in history, all that. So I don't want to say it's not all like that, but for me, when I would buy a CD when I was a kid, or I would listen to the shit out of it. Mm-hmm. I'd listen to it 8 billion fucking times because it's all that I had. Now what we're getting is we're bored quick. We're hearing a song and we're like, yeah, I heard it. And I am absolutely guilty of that. I can't listen to anything anymore like I used to, where I could listen to it 1,000 times. Now I'm like, I hear it once, hear it twice, hear it 3 times. I'm like, all right, I'm good to never hear that again. And same thing with movies. At this point, my attention span has been dwindled to, nothing. So it's like, when I was a kid, I'd be like, yeah, dude, let's watch that movie again. It's like, now I'm
let's watch a movie that's 3 or 2 or 3 hours. I'm like, not today. I'm not watching. Hour and a half max. I
just noticed on Netflix, it's got the column or category. It's like under 90 minutes.
Really?
It's not being promoted as, it's now being promoted as these are easily digestible. And eventually I could see a time where movies are literally like, it's an hour. Our attention spans are between TikTok and everything that's short video consumption is getting shorter and shorter by the day. So I think that movies naturally are going to follow suit.
Yeah.
Because our attention spans are becoming too small. And I think we'll see hour-long movies soon that make sense because they'll get to the point quicker, which right now we need to get to the point quicker on all of these things so that it's consumed easier,
Yeah.
So it's sad to see it go that way ultimately, but
you're talking to a guy you mentioned about selling CDs with the CD art. We have a place and it still exists. I mean, he used to have like 8 stores, maybe more, but now he's got 2. It's called Joe Nardone's Gallery of Sound. And I would go in there with like not having a goal like of a CD to buy. I would just go in there and I would flip through the used section and I would just, this album looks cool. The art looks cool. I would just buy it. I would just spend money just to spend money. It wasn't until I had kids where I stopped actually going to the CD store and buying them because I'd spend $200 a month. It was financially irresponsible when I had children, but like that's how much I loved it. And that's why I don't really love records. I love the idea of and concept of records, like this big thing. It's visually appealing. You can still pull it out and all that kind of stuff. But like I was one of those guys. I would open up the CD and I'd pull out all the liner notes and go through lyrics and who did what and all that shit. I love that.
That was me. That was 100% me. And I'd look at who recorded it. Then I'd do the research on that. I looked at, I loved when punk bands would thank all the thank you lists because what I would do with that is I would take that and then look at every band that they thanked or that they've toured with in the past 10 years or whatever it is. And then I'd start seeking out all of those bands because I liked the way that this record sounded. And that was basically our version of Spotify and how we found new artists.
That's cool.
Now we're being force-fed, again, dictated to from, this is an algorithm that says, oh, you like this band, so you're going to like these bands. But again, that's dictation by an algorithm that, maybe isn't the same as saying, well, this band is thanking these bands that they're not necessarily exactly like it. They may be adjacent to it or something else that may broaden a little bit of horizon with musical approach, etc. Again, I know that's an outdated concept, but I'm not seeing a new concept that I believe makes sense with Spotify playlist dictation because, again, I'm hearing in any version of punk, unless it's curated by individuals, not necessarily the big overarching Spotify or Apple Music, you're getting the same 20 tracks over and over and over and over. And that's not broadening what we're doing. That's actually shrinking it, I think. And that's kind of what I'm referencing about not enjoying the route we're going because I don't think it's as, yes, is music more readily available? Yes, 100%. no, it's not as easy to discover what you're looking for because you're looking at it going, plays dictate everything. But I've listened to so many great bands who have like, 1,000 monthly listeners, 2,000 monthly listeners, whatever it is, not a big number. So it's basically generally ignored. But in reality, this band is so much better than many bands that I've seen that are like, hey, they've got 150,000 monthly listeners. I'm like, man, if anybody would just listen to this fucking band, they're infinitely better and should be, they really should be supported and listened to. But it's like falls on deaf ears, But if you're a fan of 4 fans of FFO or whatever, 4 fans of this, you'll like that. And it's like, well, that man should be able to get in that 4 fans of, and that's sometimes the hard thing that you're not really seeing, with Spotify and Apple Music, that I'd love to see more good bands get fucking some notoriety, and there's so many of them. Like we've gotten to play with probably over the past 10 years, I don't even know, 500 plus bands that most of them never see the light of day. And that's the stuff that I'm referencing going, man, it'd be cool for some of these bands to get, bands that I'm just wowed by. I'm like, holy shit, how is this band not giant?
Give me like 3 of them that I can check out real quick.
Dude. 3 bands? Okay. Check out Debt Neglector. I'll give 3 bands from our label. Debt Neglector, who is awesome. Great crew of human beings that we play with a lot. Virginity, who I love, who is also on the label, putting out a new record. They just announced it, I think, today. So please listen to that. I think they're awesome. And it's not punk. It's very unique. What would you explain it as?
Yeah, it's like it's an alternative thing.
Alternative, feels like in line with like, or lack of better words, like Weezer and things like that. Fans of would like it. He actually tracked and recorded the Debt Neglector record. Ian did. So that's why I want you to check that out. It'll support them and support Ian and his endeavors. We got a new record coming out for a band called The Dreaded Laramie. Very unique band, cool band. All those are on the Smartpunk roster, and we just got to play with all of them in Texas a few weeks ago for South by Southwest. So I want to pump those guys so they get a little bit of much deserved exposure that they should have.
Well, I do a Spotify playlist. It's I think it's currently at 52 saves, setting the world on fire. It's called Popko's Picks, where I try and kind of cultivate or curate just a bunch of bands that no one had really heard of, just to try to locally here and where we're at, and just beyond. So, and it kind of coincides with what I do here when doing this. Yeah. So it's I think it's important, because like you said, they're not gonna see the light of day.
No, and it's unfortunate because again, it becomes a pay to play game.
Yeah.
And a lot of these bands don't have the funding to, get this shit heard the way it needs to be heard, or they're not going to pay a marketing company, $30,000 to release this punk record that, and nor should they, honestly. But we also need to figure out a way to get it in some ears, So it's like there's got to be other ways for this stuff, minus the live shows. Of course, all these bands are playing 100 shows a year, et cetera, like constantly trying to get some at least visibility on these songs, but that's, neither here nor there versus, obviously the massive Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Prime, all of those like curated playlists that are force feeding the masses. And that's the part that, so many bands will go undiscovered until there's a half-assed even playing field, with not an even playing field.
Yeah. I hope that, things change all the time, right? So I'm hoping that like something happens. Something has to happen.
Well, we always move forward in music from day one to now. We were listening to 4 tracks, and now we're listening to, we were listening to CDs. We were listening to, what was in between. There was some other obviously cassettes,
right.
And we now are at digital. But what's after digital? I don't know how we're going to consume music. Talk to Elon Musk. It's going to be the Neuralink.
It's going to be in your brain. You'll be like, just think about it. It'll just play in your head. Yeah.
So I think, and what are we calling? Does it work like Siri? If you're like, hey, Neuralink, it's got to have a name, some shit.
Something like cool too.
The new, Popko podcast.
Yeah.
So I think you're just gonna have to think it.
You just think it just happens.
Yeah.
Oof. This is scary where we're going.
Yeah, because I don't trust my mind.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what if I didn't want to think that? Damn it! Now I got this. Now this is how the U2 record got on all Apple devices.
Yes, I'm more concerned with like you be able to communicate with people without having to speak, and like people will know what you're thinking. And I'm like, listen, I'll get in a lot of trouble with my wife. Men in general.
There won't be any marriages. There will be
None.
no more marriages. There will be no more anything. There'll be like us as a society, we're going to lock ourselves in little bubbles and be like, no. Yeah. So that connectivity is getting too advanced, you know?
Yeah.
It's just hard not to think of The Matrix.
I think there was a movie. Oh yeah, there was a ton of movies about like
that scene where it like just flips over to like everybody in those fucking pods and stuff like that. It's like, oh.
Yeah, that could easily be us. We could all just be in pods. We may be in pods now, by the way.
Maybe we are. Maybe
this is not even. Yeah, this is not. Yeah, and I mean, that at least, if that was the version of life we're all living, and if we die tomorrow, any of us, if we pass tomorrow or expire, and then we just start over, but we go back to the pod, and then they just kick our asses back into this world again. It's something else, Maybe that's all what's going on, you know. And if it was that's not a bad way, because then death is not finality.
Right.
I get all pruny after being in the pod.
In the pods. Yeah, I wonder how pruny we all are actually in the pods. I'm
sure Elon will figure it out for us.
Yeah.
I just know that when it gets really bad, I'll just be like, you know what? Those fucking guys and suck brick kid. The end is what I want, man.
Yeah. Just think of it, and just send the bat signal. We'll be at your bar in no time. In the basement, snowed in with you, just doing a podcast each night.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Well, if you guys ever get up my way, I'll be actually down your way in June. I'll be going to Disney with the family.
Nice.
So I won't be able to have fun. But,
come up to where the humans live in Orlando. Not the mouse house. We live on the other side of Orlando. It's I think Orlando is nationally obviously known as a theme park place, but there's a whole city of shitheads that live adjacent to it that don't actually ever go down to the theme parks. So it's I encourage others to visit Orlando, and not just for the tourism dollars that'll suck you dry on the other side of it.
Don't get me started.
Dude, I hope that house has got a good second mortgage on it, because man, Disney's some money, dude.
Yeah.
And also, pro tip: don't go to Magic Kingdom if you want beer. They don't sell beer in there.
No beer there.
Yeah, so you got to plan your day accordingly.
Okay.
You get the kids to the Magic Kingdom, get all the bullshit done, go to It's a Small World, whatever floats everybody's boats over there, and then head over to Epcot. You tour around the world.
Yep.
That's where all the drinks are. You put the kids on some ride in Mexico.
We'll see you later.
Yeah, we'll see you later. Just keep riding it around the pyramid, and we'll be back in like a couple hours.
You're 6, right? You can get you and your sister back to us? Okay, great.
I mean, it's pretty confined. There's like buses and monorails. They'll figure it out.
Yeah. Well, guys, best of luck with this new record. May 17th. The end is what I want. Smartpunk Records.
Yes.
No pandemic.
No pandemic. Well, I mean, depends on the state. Pennsylvania. I don't know if we'll be up in Scranton, but if we get there,
hit me up. Yeah, if you get close.
Yeah, if we get there, we got to get the second podcast so we can come to the basement.
Right, the basement bar. Right.
The basement
I'll
bar.
Stock it with some beer, but
I'll bring some beer. You don't have to bring it. I'll stock the bar.
What kind of beer do you like? What's your go-to?
All the damn beers are good.
I mean, same.
No sours. Right? You know what? Sours are terrible.
I hate them.
Yeah. What? Who decided this? Again, some asshole dictated to society that we need sour beers. And of course, it's the same guy who's still munching on Sour Patch Kids and bullshit.
Yeah.
It's
not
all
good.
those bullshit things. Come on, man. I want a beer, not a fucking candy. Sours are a mistake. They're an abomination. We should get rid of them.
Should.
Yeah. If it was up to me, we would. But I think not about a beer I want, but a beer I don't want. That's what I just gave you.
Gotcha. That's fair. That's like me. It's like what music do you like? It's like I like everything except for the bullshit country that exists today.
Yeah, and that's fair. That's 100% fair.
And beer is kind of the same way. I like it, most everything except for the sours.
Yeah. I mean, and on that, country music today is not country music from years ago. So, and every genre changes, and whether it's pop or punk or obviously that, we're going to evolve and make worse and worse music, especially as AI gets more and more in tune with our capabilities. We won't be making music anymore, probably. Yeah. It'll just be a computer that goes, hey, analyze this band. All right, make me that record.
That's scary too.
That's happening already. It's really happening, and we're watching it.
Yeah.
So making the jobs easy.
The end is what I want.
Yeah, exactly. You see where we're at? We've come full circle. So.
The other day, I don't know how things are by you guys, but I don't eat wings a lot. But I wanted some wings. We wanted chicken wings. Friday night. We don't want to cook. Let's get some wings. Okay, cool. Go to the place's website. Website's down, so I can't see the quantities that they have to offer or pricing. So I call and I say, hey, what's the quantities that you have available? They're like 6, 12, 18, and 30. I was hoping for 24. I probably could have got 2 12s, but I wanted like 24. So I'm like, fuck it. 18 is not enough because it's me and my wife. Let's go 30. I'll have some leftovers for the next day. No problem. I know wings are expensive, but I'm thinking maybe $30 for 30 wings, $1 a wing. I get there. It's first of all, they said half hour. It ended up being an hour. I get there. She gives me the check, and it's $45 for 30 wings.
That's pricey.
It's real pricey. So I guess I put my foot in my mouth before. I don't talk a lot about stuff on Facebook. This one in particular, I decided I needed to share on Facebook. And I said, I just spent $45 on 30 wings. I've never felt more violated. Tons of comments, right?
So wait, so I got to you earlier on the this is too expensive,
And so someone commented, they said something like, oh, that's gonna like clog your arteries and blah blah. And I had typed out like maybe I want to be gone from here.
The end is what I want.
Exactly. And so I didn't actually end up posting that or commenting back on that, because I was like, that's kind of grim. But you know what? At the end of the day, maybe the end is what I want.
So I really get a lot of therapeutic value in writing out an email, like completely, and then just deleting it.
Yep.
So I don't actually send it when I get some, thing work-wise or whatever, somebody's telling me X, Y, or Z. So I'm like, I'm going to tell you exactly how I really feel in this email. And then right before I send it, I just highlight the whole fucking thing, delete. I've gotten it off my chest now.
Yeah.
And so I don't always believe that we've got to share every detail, but for sure, putting it on paper or in an email, or you're about to post it or whatever, it's definitely therapeutic to get that out and done. It's not necessarily effective to really emotionally post on anything social media wise or any of those things. It's all bullshit. And yes, it's all there for a look at me. And I want to hear from people who support me and blah, 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 and all that. And of course, do it if that is what you're looking for. But most of the time, just writing it out and getting it out there and getting it off of your chest in a way is sufficient, But if that was the case, we would not have this record. So I'm thankful that people love to throw their shit on a wall so that we can write about it, and i.e. it's kind of a physical, tangible feeling about what social media is. So
I love the concept. What a cool, creative thing to do. So like I said, best of luck with that. May 17th, the end is what I want. And hopefully you guys go out there and kill it.
Well, hopefully.
So
literally.
Yes, end everyone's life.
Yes, the end.
Yes, and the end is coming. The end brought to you by Suck Brick Kid.
Yes, we are the rapture.
So Grant, vocalist in Suck Brick Kid. We have Ian. I don't think I ever even introduced you guys formally by name, but Ian, guitar player in Suck Brick Kid. thanks for doing this. I really appreciate your time.
We appreciate you having us on. It's been fun. I wait the day to be sitting in the bar with you there and enjoying some not sour beers. You know,
when you guys are big and famous, when you get to that level, and you can just look back and say, you know what, it's probably that Popko guy that took us to that level.
I mean,
just don't forget me.
We're just holding on to your coattails as you try and grab onto Joe Rogan's. And we're all going up together.
Yeah, you know? we're gonna send you our address, maybe hopefully a hat or two.
Yeah, where's my hat? You know, we're looking for a hat. We're looking for
kid merch.
You know, that 101 comedy mothership hat.
Actually, that colorway is tight.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. You have to send me your address though, because I think I have some shirts, some podcast shirts I can send down.
Hell yeah. I will absolutely wear that.
I gotta say, just shoot me your what? We'll talk. Once I hit stop recording, we can talk for like a second, and I'll let you guys go. But guys, Thank you. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
I guess everywhere, social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Suck Brick Kid.
Yeah, we're primarily at this point really only fuck with Instagram just because it's easier. Honestly, Facebook is like
it's not as messy. Yeah.
Yeah, Facebook is like I don't even know what's going on. Things like a disaster
fire.
Right now. And Twitter, I don't want anybody to know my actual thoughts, so it's kind of my actual thoughts are best left for this podcast and others.
Sounds good. All right, guys, thank you again. Appreciate it.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, we'll see you.